All right, guys. So I'm here today with Dan Pasholk, owner of Madtown Fitness, and you guys all know him, John Haack, the basically strongest man in the world right now, pound for pound.
Pound for pound, yeah.
So let's dive right into it, guys. John, you moved back to Madison.
Yes,
When did this happen? What led to that?
I moved back middle of November. We're still waiting for you to finally move back. But
I wish I
no,
could. I got the gym here now. I'm kind of in
yeah,
trouble. I'm stuck.
that's true. You could just merge the gym with Madtown. But
Yeah, we have like a back room we're putting together. A little private room. You just put your gym in there.
yeah.
Man, it's a possibility. I miss Wisconsin to some degree. I'm sure that's why you moved back because I miss the snow, honestly. We don't get like any snow in Tennessee.
Yeah, that was a big part of it. I miss the snow. I like being cold more than being hot. And California's nice. I think it's really funny when people are like, oh, good job, you got California. But to be honest, it's really not that bad. Taxes are kind of high, but other than that, just traffic was the biggest thing that drove me nuts living out there. And you don't really get that here. I think I've been stuck in maybe like one traffic jam since I moved back.
So how long have you been back and how long have you been training with Dan now? Because I've seen you guys, every video. Obviously, you're training
Yeah.
partners now, and that's how it used to be.
It's been about 3 months now.
Okay, so not that long.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? It's almost like we're bringing the band back together here because I mean, Dan was the one who got me into powerlifting, like the guy. He's the only
You
reason
were
I got
into
into powerlifting,
powerlifting though. You were into powerlifting before that.
but not competing.
Yeah, you were just kind of having like meltdowns in your basement by yourself. And that was most of it.
Yeah, see, what people don't realize, or maybe they do, see, Dan was the original, and I mean, really the only one, the wake the F up guy. That was him. So, in all the videos in the basement, Dan was always the one, wake the, so he was the guy. Everybody brought
Your
him
weight,
up. It was
Pete.
like legendary.
It's always the your weight, Pete. Be yelling it. I can't do it.
See, we can't
I
impersonate
can't do
him.
it anymore. I'm too
Yeah.
old.
See,
You
that's
do it.
If Pete
I hear it
fucking back,
sometimes.
then I can, but
You can hear it in the back of my deadlift sometimes.
I mean, I feel
depending on
like
if you like dub over it with something.
Yeah.
Dan's like the original motivational training partner guy. Like you were, I mean, everybody references Black Tom Cruise from Larry Wheels videos, but I feel like Dan was the
I
guy.
don't know who that is.
No, well, he's Otis Perkins, honestly, and rest in peace because he passed away in a car accident like
Oh
3 years
shit.
ago. Yeah, but he was the guy who, in all of Larry Wheels videos, was always like yelling. I forget some of his taglines. I know but he had a lot of them. But you were like the original
Yeah.
guy. You were the guy before that in a lot of my videos where we'd be in the basement and you'd just be yelling at me and stuff, and I'd be, hopped up on like a gram of caffeine and Jack 3D and clenbuterol, and just just going crazy. So now John gets the benefit from that.
That's true. And it's kind of funny because we're both like pretty like how you trained mentally at that point versus like how I trained is like totally opposite, but it still works really well.
You train pretty calm.
For the most part, I mean, I'll like turn it on the last like minute before a lift, but
You're pretty calm.
I'm pretty calm.
Compared to Pete, you are like
Yeah, well, okay, that's not a hard bar to get under.
I know what you can do if you really want to get jacked up before you're training. One of my methods, you take 3 scoops of the original Jack 3D, 200 milligrams of caffeine along with it. So that's like you're up to 500 milligrams of caffeine. And then take like 80 micrograms of clenbuterol. And your heart will be pounding through your chest. You'll be jacked up to the max. It's one of my old tried and trues.
Yeah, the old Jack 3D formula was that DMAA. I like thought I was gonna OD on DMAA at one time.
Don't combine it with clenbuterol. I tried that.
Yeah, the old Jack started fucking me up towards the end. Feel like I would just get like super shaky and like feel like I was gonna pass out.
It would kill my appetite. Like I would not eat for like 12 hours after taking it.
I mean, guys, didn't that lead to the best training sessions though? That stuff was insane.
I always preferred The original Muscle Farm at that point.
Muscle. Okay. I know the brand, but I'm trying to remember.
It was
Days
Assault. It was Assault.
So I mean, but anyway, like tying back to that time, because we all were at the University of Wisconsin, and I'm not going to say who, but 2 out of 3 of us made it through, and so made it through university there. But anyway, so I came in 2010. What time did you guys get there? I know Dan was a little before me, John was a little after, so that's where we kind of met.
2012 would have been my first year at UW.
What about you, Dan?
I graduated in 2013.
Okay. Yeah, so we're all from Wisconsin. Like I'm from Cambridge, John's from Mount Horeb, and Dan's from over what's it called?
Like
Arrowhead.
Delafield,
Hartford.
It's like suburbs of Milwaukee, basically.
Yeah, so we're all from southern Wisconsin, and I think, we all grew up like Wisconsin Badger fans. The football team's doing awesome now. It's good to see. And we all want to go to Wisconsin, I'm sure. And I ran into Dan there at the Surf, which was like the university weight room. And you were like known as the powerlifter guy. Like Dan was the guy. He was the powerlifter guy. You were benching about 405, deadlifting 700. And I kind of like got connected with you. And then you got me into it more seriously and, said, you kind of took me under your wing, really. Like you were a huge influence in the early period as far as me getting more serious about it. I liked lifting and I met you and you really pushed me. And there were the early days of Madtown. And I met John, I want to say a year or 2 later, same place at the Surf. Like you were this young up and coming guy. I don't know if you'd really competed that much, just a little USAPL. And they were telling me how strong you were. They're like, no, this guy's strong. He's 180 pounds, hit some ridiculous numbers. And that's kind of how I met you.
Yeah, I remember like the first time I saw you like pacing back and forth to deadlift. He was like 765 on those shitty like dodecahedron plates. Oh my god. Yeah, I was just like, like, because you only popped in a couple times when I was there, and for the most part, I was definitely like the strongest guy. And then you came in, and I was just like, oh fuck.
Well, I think by the time I met you too, I was already under I was on PEDs at that point, and just
yeah, you were definitely like, yeah, you were definitely pretty. I think it was right around when you went down to, like, kind of did that infamous 800-pound day with Lily Bridges and Chris Hickson. It was like right around when I met you.
Okay, yeah, it's crazy. It's been over a decade that I've known these guys, and Dan too. Dan was always trying to keep me off of PEDs. He was trying to keep me natty, and I was like 20. I didn't care. I just wouldn't listen to anybody. I was like, we're going for it here. So
I don't really care if you did it. It was more just trying to
rein me in,
trying to talk you into easing into it rather than doing everything.
Well, I remember when we went to Raw Unity on the way to the airport. I asked you, so what are you taking right now? And you just all you said was, I don't know, I just took whatever was left in my fridge.
Dude,
I was just like blown away by that.
What? There was no information back then. Like it wasn't calculated. Now you can find all the information. Everybody's like, worry about your health, check all that stuff. And back then it was just like, we're going to take everything. Like whatever you have left at the end of your cycle, that last 2 weeks before the meet, it's all going down, like pinning everything. So that's crazy because Raw Unity, I think it was like 2013, and we flew out of Milwaukee, just snowstorm, flew down into this tropical paradise. It was amazing. But there's so many memories from that meet because I remember like Milanachev, I just saw him like laying out on a sun chair outside by the pool, just hanging out.
It took like 6 guys to wrap his knees.
Yeah, he was insane with that.
I remember seeing videos of that. I was nuts.
Yeah, it was like one guy or it was like 2 guys like holding him down, and like one guy would pull it around, and then the next guy would like pull it even tighter.
It's crazy too because so many of the guys from that meet are kind of out of the sport now. But like Kevin Oak, that was like his first big meet, and he was coming up, and there were a bunch of others, Jay Nara, Cade Weber, those kind of guys.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like everybody's kind of, gotten out of the game. But I mean, it was over a decade ago. That's just kind of how things go. So a lot of members
Yeah.
from that time period.
I'd be interested to see who on that roster is still in the sport.
Yeah, I think if we pulled it up, it'd be kind of wild just to kind of see who was around at that time period. But that's part of life, things change, you get older, the priorities change, you get a family. Like I know for you, Dan, because the guys got to understand with Dan, he opened Madtown Fitness, which is massive gym now in Madison, Wisconsin. And I remember day one, it was this smaller gym. The membership had to be like 80 people, not even that, 50. And
It was
it
like
was a
50
lot of
the
work.
first year. It was like 55 or something like that. It was not a it was not a big amount of people.
Well, why don't you just talk about like what was it like in the early days coming up with Madtown Fitness?
Well, I kind of started it just like straight out of college. It was like 2 weeks after I graduated. So I pretty much bought a bunch of equipment, basically whatever I could afford off bouncing tips, like off of Craigslist, and rented a space and had no fucking clue what I was doing and pretty much just tried to make it work. I mean, and like after the first year was definitely super rough. I mean, there have been like a handful of really rough years, but the first year was definitely super rough because I had like 50 members after the first year, and it was like barely breaking even, if that. And then kind of expanded into a bigger space. So the first space was like 2,400 square feet. It was like super, super small. It was like everybody called like the hallway or whatever, because it was like 25 feet wide. So it was literally like it was so narrow that like you literally felt like you were like walking through a hallway like the whole length of the space basically. But yeah, I mean, just kind of fucking held on for 10 years and made little improvements one after another. And now it's like an 18,000 square foot building now. Which is like with like the second story of space we have and stuff, it's like right around 20. So it's like almost 10 times the size it was initially, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think both of you guys obviously are super successful at what you do. Like John, you're probably, I mean, honestly, you're the best power lifter right now, and maybe the best all time. Like I know you've heard that, obviously. And then Dan, your gym is amazing. Your gym is thriving, and I saw how much work you put in the beginning. As far as acquiring equipment, the hours, the struggle, like I remember when days were not good. Like people don't realize,
Yeah,
like you see all the success now, but days were not always good. And for you guys both, like you could answer if both of you could, what do you think has made you so successful? What do you think have been the keys?
I mean, for me, it's probably just a lot of luck with genetics in that sense. But I think consistency is probably the biggest factor that is not related to genetics for me. It's just staying injury free, not pushing it too hard, and overall just being smart about training.
I think one of the biggest things, at least one thing that I've noticed with you that I didn't notice with like a lot of the other guys that have like come up and fizzled out, is like even early on, especially compared to a lot of like younger lifters with talent, like you never really did like the stupid shit. Like you kind of had like I feel like you kind of knew you had potential right away, and I feel like you were you were always smart with your training. Like you always kind of had like a long-term goal in mind. That's something that like I feel like I haven't seen with a lot of like younger lifters, and I think that's something that holds a lot of younger lifters back, especially guys with talent. But that's something I definitely noticed with you, is like you never like did like I just remember like Pete, you and I did like the stupidest fucking shit like ever, just like for years. And it was like super, there were so many days that I like look back at that were just like completely counterproductive in terms of like our training, because we were just both like we were both just doing like stupid ego shit, and it was just like the dumbest shit ever, you know what I mean? But it's like that's something that I feel like you never really did. Like you always kind of like had a good sense of like you always auto regulated really well. And that's something that I feel like a lot of people, when they get into powerlifting, don't do super well, is like they're always overshooting for like long periods of time, and they kind of crash and burn, or they end up getting injured. It's like I feel like you were pretty good at that right away.
Yeah, and now I'm getting back into trying to be stupid with the training. Just have fun with it. I'm just kidding. now that I'm back, I can use you as an influence to
I want to be a
the
bad
stupid stuff.
influence.
Just kidding.
I want to like look back in 10 years and be like, I'm the guy that destroyed John Haack in his time. Although once the Gym Olympics start, that might get a little bit weird. We'll
Yeah,
see.
I got to show the guys the list of events tonight and see what
You have an
ones
event
there.
list?
I sent it to you, like the original one, and then we can.
Oh yeah. I remember the original one.
Yeah,
It's a good call.
we'll see which ones we want to use and which ones we want to.
Pete, you want to be in the Gym Olympics?
I don't know what you're talking about. What is this?
So like after the Ghost Clash, I want to do like a weekly competition thing where it's just like one or two events each week, and it's just stupid stuff. I kind of designed the events to not like focus on one skill, where there's going to be things like protein shake chug, like a dead hang for max amount of time, 100-meter dash.
Are we allowing tie to hook grip for that?
Which
No,
the dead hang.
yeah.
If you can like hook grip, I don't know. A pull
No,
bar is
you
pretty
can't.
quick.
You'd
A
be
lot
I
going
wonder if
for
that
it.
would actually help or if that would just be fucking horrible.
I think it would help. I wouldn't do that. You could also do like who can pin the most trend, like stuff like who can take the most Halo testing without dying.
Oh my god.
Right? We could do.
Yeah.
Pete, you may have already won those events. You could be competing.
Dan and I have been like sending each other like just stupid videos from the internet, people doing like really really dumb stuff and saying like next Gym Olympics event.
The bowling ball Lego one was pretty fucking good. There were these dudes who were playing soccer with a bowling ball.
Oh yeah.
It was like on concrete, and they just covered the entire ground with Lego, so they're like stepping on Legos the entire time, like kicking a bowling ball. That's a good one. I want to do that.
Gosh, you guys are ridiculous.
I want to do the floor is lava in the gym.
That's a good one.
So like you have to like make it from like one side of the gym to the other, but you can't.
See,
touch
I
the
feel
ground.
like the way John has succeeded in lifting has just been like trolling in the gym and having fun and hanging out with these crazy ideas and stuff. Is that the secret, John? We gotta have fun and just do.
Yeah, honestly, like that is one thing I've said is like the biggest thing is just enjoy yourself in the gym. Or
He pretty much exists to demoralize everyone around him.
well, like I don't care if powerlifting's the thing you love, if CrossFit is, or any other physical activity or like running, just do something physical that you enjoy. And if you start to fall out of love with it, maybe switch it up and try something different.
Okay, serious for both of you. Do you guys think people just take it too seriously?
Yeah, some people.
I think the people that take it too seriously a lot of times are people that take it too serious in relation to how good they are at it.
Yeah, that's a good comment.
Like I feel like there are a lot of like kind of average lifters out there that think they're like gonna make a living at it, and it's like
I think you can take it seriously as long as you're still having fun. If you start not having fun, then what's the point?
I agree with that.
Well, I think too, one of the things that has helped is not taking it so seriously, where you were like, it wasn't, I don't know, did you ever think you were going to end up like this at the top? Did you ever think you were going to be the guy who everyone's looking at, the guy who was in a conversation with Ed Coan? Or did that just kind of slowly start creeping up on you, or the consistency thing that Dan talked about? Because I kind of noticed that too. Let me just say first, like, I noticed the consistency with you, where you never had, didn't have crazy aspirations to where you put everything, all of powerlifting on your shoulders, and you just slowly kept chipping away and sneaking up on people, and then you just kept getting better and better, and that consistency was always there. So
I don't think it was. I think it was always kind of like, oh, maybe I could be one of the best, but I'm nowhere near that goal right now. So I'm going to focus on just getting better, like for tomorrow, kind of thing.
you don't think you're at that point? Or you're one of the best?
I think I am now, but I still think too like I think it's like I'm still second to Ed Coan, but to get past him, it's more so like long term success, which is kind of why I I've noticed a lot of the comments of like why of people saying like that I'm lying about my cycle and like why don't I just take a crazy cycle and hit something insane? It's like because I'm in it for the long haul at this point. I'm trying to be a little bit healthier.
I mean, I believe you. I really do. I think a lot of guys downplay their cycles. Like I think it's very common these days. And I use the same analogy as guys always being like, I eat 350 grams of protein a day. I'm like, it's not likely the majority are doing that. I think in an extreme, a lot of guys go to the extremes. So but I've known you long enough where I have to give you the benefit of the doubt at this point because I mean, you've proven me wrong. There were times where I was like, there's no way John could be natural right now. And you were. And then you got on the stuff and you freaking blew up. And so the credibility is there as far as your track record with that. But I understand what you're saying, where it's like you're trying to play the long-term game. Do you feel, and I know you want to be respectful to Ed Coan, and that's part of the thing where it probably feels almost awkward a lot of times where you're like, I don't want to disrespect Ed Coan because he's such a great lifter. So, I mean, what do you think? Would it just take being in the game long enough as far as the consistency of hitting great numbers over and over to be in the conversation with him? Or what do you think it would take to kind of push past Ed and what he
see, I don't know, like it's kind of one of those things where like I don't know if I'll ever like it like in a lot of people's heads, like I could do something that will like push me over Ed. But in my own head, I think I would always like at least be level with him because I can't, I don't know. It's hard to compare generations. And I would be like satisfied with I don't think there's like anything I can do that would make it be where I'm like, oh, he's definitely number one. So like there's a few goals like the 2300, 198, and then I want to do like I would like to beat Ed Coan's 2405 or 06 at 220. Like if I hit that, would I consider myself better? I don't know because he had equipment, but I have 24-hour weigh-ins and a deadlift bar. So
yeah, and I know like Ed hates the Kabuki bar.
Yeah, I mean, I like pulling on it, but I part of me wishes it wasn't a thing because then it is harder to judge. And then like it goes further of me thinking, oh, what's going to be in the sport 20 years down the road when some kid can pull like 1,000 pounds because the bar is even whippier, is a 9-foot bar or something like that.
Well, I mean, do you think 2300 is going to fall next weekend?
Probably not. That was never like the goal for this meet. I kind of started the prep later. I was in between doing this one or one in March, and I think if I planned for the one in March, I maybe could have made a push for the 2300. But I got into Ghost Clash, and the payout's a lot better. So
You also moved right before.
yeah, I kind of like started a little bit later too with my trip to Germany. I didn't want to get on cycle and have to like worry about either finding PEDs in Germany or traveling internationally with that stuff. So that kind of put a delay a little bit.
Do you feel good about hitting PRs on all your lifts at this meet? Because I know and this is another thing that ties into what Dan said about you, where the consistency and patience. Because I think I literally was just talking about this in a video, and the three biggest things as far as you want to be the best at this stuff, genetics, obviously, but beyond that, consistency and patience. That's it. Consistency and patience are what are going to get anyone to where they want to be. And I've seen in your meets, like you do fairly conservative chips. You'll chip by 2.5 kilos over your last meet attempts a lot of times. Mm-hmm. So like 772 squat or 606 bench, and then maybe going for like a 915 deadlift. Like that's what I could see you hitting because you usually go you'll chip your squat and bench and then kind of go for it on deadlift a lot of times. But even deadlift is fairly conservative.
Yeah, well, it's kind of one of those. We'll see. Like at my like top end goal for squat would be like 782, but I always have balance issues after a weight cut, so um, we'll see how opener and seconds go. I'd be happy with anything between like 766 and 782.
Okay.
Then bench like the prep hasn't been the best. I just failed my top set of 595 last week. So I'm not expecting to hit like I was kind of like, oh, maybe I could hit 600 in this one, or like at least get like 595 and then go for 600 in American Pro in was that October. But I think I'd be happy with just chipping my record. So my 198 record's 589, so I'd probably just go like 590 just to get the bonus from saying an all-time world record. And then yeah, deadlift 909, 915 range would be where I'd like to sit. So it would get me close to 2300 and then set me up pretty good for going forward at the American Pro.
What's your body weight right these days?
I'm 216.
Okay. Wow. So it's a big cut, but it's reasonable.
Yeah, I've done bigger, so I'm not like too worried about it.
Dan, are you going out there for that meet? Or are you gonna stay home?
Yeah, I'm going out.
You're going to Miami with him? Okay. You gonna like kind of handle
Yeah, do my
lift off
best.
guy now? There, you're the official lift off guy.
Tough guy.
Yeah.
No, I mean honestly,
Got him a little bit.
you're a great person though to have in his corner. You've been there before, and I wish you were still there for me, but it's impossible, obviously, being in Tennessee. But I mean, the thing guys got to realize with Dan, like he knows how to push people, he knows how to motivate people. All those years, man, just having him in my corner, like yelling at me and stuff, like it made me want to step your game up. So, like for real, like you're one of the most motivational guys, kind of behind the scenes that people don't even realize. And now I see you in all of John's training videos and stuff, and it's awesome to see now. You know, you guys kind of coming back together.
Yeah, we have
Yeah,
a really
that's
good training group going right now.
How many
Yeah,
are
we
in
have
your Sorry.
What?
How many are in your training group?
It's like 6 or
6 or
7.
7.
Yeah,
Okay.
The 7. Yeah.
7. Yeah.
Do you guys have like a certain time of day you train? Are you like an evening crew or morning crew or
So like mostly it's like Dan and I like we go in at 3:30, and then there's a couple like college kids that our group's not like all like together except for on like Saturdays. We usually do like a 10:30
okay?
thing, but during the week it's usually like Dan and I together. Ty'll kind of pop in every once in a while.
He pulls more.
Yeah,
Like for deadlifts a lot of times and kind of does this thing during the week usually.
yeah. We'll see. Like now that he's kind of in the off season, because there's another gym that's a little bit closer for him, and it's like a 5-minute drive, but he complains about it.
That's just high.
Yeah.
Well, nobody likes driving far. I get it. I drive 5 minutes in town. That's about it. Didn't fill up my gas tank in the month of January. Crazy. But no, I want to ask. Okay, so Dan, question for you. Why didn't you ever try PEDs? Because you've been lifetime natural, and like, was the temptation ever there?
Temptation was always there. Yeah. I mean, it's not like it's not gone now, you know.
Oh.
Not saying that I'm going to do it, but the biggest thing honestly was just like my family has a ton of like health issues. Like my dad had a ton of heart issues. So that's like probably the biggest thing for me is like my dad's had I think 4 open heart surgeries. So it's like he had his first open heart surgery at like 45. And then, you know, now I've got 3 super young kids, so it's kind of like I mean, I'm at the point where it's like in the next few years like I'll probably start looking at what my test levels are actually at, and if they drop to a point where it's like actually inhibiting my overall health, then I would, you know, do whatever a doctor told me to do, you know. But like I don't know. The biggest thing was just like the health issues in my family, to be honest, for the most part. And then like the other thing was I never really felt like once I started the gym, I was kind of all in to that. You know, it was like my entire focus was on the gym. It was like I was always like even now like I beat the shit out of myself. Like I'm always doing like manual labor and stuff. I'm pretty much like remodeling the whole building right now, and I'm doing a lot of the physical labor of it. So it's like I'm always like doing stuff like that. So it's like my mindset was always kind of like, why why go to like flip that switch for that variable when there are a lot of other variables within my training that I could improve on without doing that? It was always kind of like, well, like if I was gonna do it, it was gonna be like, okay, I already have a good diet, I already have consistent training, I'm already focused on recovery, I'm already doing all this other stuff. Where like now it's like generally for training, I'm like a exhausted, dehydrated, fucking beat to shit mess. So it's like I could do it, but it's like I'm also not like my focus kind of shifted with the gym as the gym started to grow. It's just like there was like initially there was kind of like the dream of being one of those like top guys, and it's like I still love training heavy. I still love training with, you know, like the guys, but like I feel like now I'm kind of like more comfortable just in the role. Like I'm like the older guy in the crew. I'm kind of like trying to hang on with like kind of some of the younger guys, and it's like I like I guess I kind of got to a point too at the gym where like I enjoyed, like I like handling for people. I like kind of helping people at meets and stuff. It's like I just I don't know. I mean, I just it was a combination of a bunch of different things. It was just, not fixing all those other variables before like thinking about adding that in. It was just the focus being on the gym. It was the family health issues, and just I mean my goals kind of just shifted.
Yeah, I mean, I think it shows a lot. You guys were just a lot more mature than I was as far as that goes, because I just was reckless, jumped right in, didn't think about waiting or any of the consequences or anything. And like I know like John waited quite a while. I mean, do you think you'd be as good as you are now if you had flipped that switch at a younger age?
Probably not. I don't think so. And if I did, I feel like I would lose a lot of the credibility I had with like going to IPF Worlds. I think that's kind of an accolade that I'm very proud of. So um, I think without that, I wouldn't feel as good about my status of where I am, like historically ranked among powerlifters. And on top of that, yeah, I'd probably burn out a lot quicker.
Yeah, I mean, you've kind of proven yourself both on the natural side of things and the enhanced side. Like I can't think of really anybody who's done that where they've kind of gone in, dominated the drug-free competition and then gone over to the enhanced side and still dominated. So we're seeing a little more of that now, but that's really cool to kind of see someone do it the right way. Because what age were you when you first started?
I think it was like right before I turned 25.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I mean, that's impressive because I'm like 20 years old off of college. I'm like, let's go, fire up the trend cannons. We're going to take it all.
What was
And
your first cycle? Do you know?
my first cycle was basically like a 3-year cycle. So no, but I mean, no, that it was one thing to another. The first cycle was right away. I did, oh God, I did like 25 milligrams of D-ball right off the bat with the test. So I took the internet's advice, really good idea with the forums, and a lot of the underground like T Nation forums. It's like you got to do 500 milligrams of test. I'm like, okay, we're gonna do 500 milligrams of test, and then a lot of them were like, we got to kickstart with the D-ball. So I'm like, all right, heck yeah, let's do the D-ball. So 500 milligrams test, kickstart 25 D-ball. After 2 weeks, I'm like, yeah, 25 is not enough. Let's bump it up to 50 D-ball. So then we bumped it up to 50 D-ball for about 6 weeks. Got off that. Kept rolling with the test for a while. Test kind of got boring shortly thereafter. It's like, what is this stuff called? Trend? Like, this is pretty good stuff. Let's see what Trend's about. So it really wasn't long before I was like, let's see what Trend's like. Because I read it's the strongest. And when I heard at my young, crazy age of 20 that Trend's like 5 times stronger than test, I was like, okay, we got to try that one. And then that led to just the Pandora's box. So for me, it was like once I flipped that switch, it just opened Pandora's box of like everything. And there was no cycle. It was just, let's just run stuff forever and rotate the stuff. So probably why my test levels are terrible now, but it's there's not, I can't go back. I mean, it is what it is. I would way different. I would have done it way differently if I did it again, but you can't go back, you know?
It's crazy.
You remember when you got those fake check drops?
I feel like that happened a lot of times.
One of my favorite.
What happened with it?
Favorite training stories. That was when you tripled 780 and you started like screaming at the camera because you like had like a total placebo effect because you thought you were on check drops. And then like 2 weeks later, you're like, oh yeah, bro, I found out those are fake.
Was that the video where he screamed, "I love you, Claire"?
I'm not sure about the warm-ups. You were doing like some questionable shout-outs in the warm-ups during those videos, but it was the one where you screamed talk shit now to like the 14-year-old on YouTube that like made fun of you.
Yeah, well, the thing was like back in, you know, especially being on trend, you take things very personally, you get really upset about things that are ridiculous. Where like now I don't get upset, you know. I don't like things don't upset me. I'm very even keel. I'm very relaxed. And back then it was like this guy said something mean to me on the internet, on YouTube. I'm gonna be really pissed. And a lot of that was like there was this semi-rivalry on the bodybuilding forums between what George Lehman was hitting and what I was hitting. And so they would always be like, well, Lehman did this and all this. And they would like say a bunch of stuff like literal. And of course, I would get egged on. So they would make it way worse and start, you know, cussing you out and they'd really try to egg you on worse. So I was getting upset with these internet trolls. And I was like, that was kind of my message to them because I was very paranoid and upset from the trend. It makes you very irrational to where you get really like, you know, upset over stupid things that are just like, okay, that's not a big deal. But that's trend for you. So at least for me, that was my experience. As a bouncer and such, it was just a bad choice. But Jordan probably didn't like it, but it was, you know, our boss. It is what it is. But anyway, those days are gone. Very, very normal now. I'm actually quite normal and calm off the PEDs. It was literally I don't know. It made me go off the deep end.
I feel like you could like tell like the instant you got on, like your actual cycle. It would just be like, oh well, Pete A like put on like 20 pounds last week, and let's not make him angry.
It was all in your lats. Your lats would like triple in size overnight when you went on.
Traps too.
Yeah, your lats and your traps would just like explode out of fucking nowhere and be like, well, Pete's on trend again.
I don't have that now, guys. I still have, you know, I'm much smaller and I don't look very as impressive, but it's
what do you weigh now?
235. I don't have the shape or the definition.
That light.
Yeah, but it just doesn't look the same. The muscle is like look at me. I don't have like,
well, no shit. You're not on trend.
Not on anything. Just like creatine and test boosters right now. I'm trying them out, so we'll see. It's weird training.
Test boosters?
Yeah, I'm trying the Tonkat Ali Fidosia Agrestis thing. We'll see if it works. That's what all the hype is these days. But it's like I've had to backtrack so hard that it's kind of depressing sometimes where you're like, wow, I used to pull 800 for reps and it felt easy. And now it's like freaking 600 for reps. Just messes with me, you know, trying to get to a 400 bench. Whereas, you know, and I know these are still, you guys like Dan hit 405 naturally. John's benching 600. It's crazy, but I always sucked at bench. So much weaker. It's all. I don't know. It's depressing, guys. Well, okay. So one question I have is like, what are and this is such a tough question to answer, but what kind of are your life goals for both of you? Like, what do you want most in life? What motivates you? Are you trying to accumulate, you know, for John, a certain amount of fame, like for either one of you, a certain amount of money? Does that motivate you? What's the big thing that like, you know, you're going to be, let's say 70 years old and be like, okay, that's what I want to do. That's what I wanted life to be about. Really tough question to answer, but what do y'all think?
I guess right now I would say I just want to build something now to make it so that I can enjoy the rest of my life, like travel. I assume I'll continue working and whatnot. Because like right now I'm doing well enough that I barely work full time, or I don't work full time. I haven't really worked at all in January. My job is basically I tell them how much I want to work each month, and if there's work, I work, and if there isn't, and I still say I want to work, I still get paid a little bit, so it's actually really nice. But yeah, I think that's why I'm kind of focusing on like building businesses, I guess, so that I can use like what fame I have right now to catapult them to make life a little bit easier once I'm done lifting.
Because for me, I mean, the fame is pretty much dried up, largely compared to what it was. Like the 15 minutes of fame, and I never got to the level you've gotten to, obviously, but it goes away. Like, yeah, there's always the new people who come up and they make this latest crop, this latest group of lifters kind of irrelevant. Like you see people get phased out of the sport all the time. So I think it's important to kind of have something there when it's all gone, when your numbers peak out, when you're on the decline, when you get older, when you get a family, things change. Because that's really hit me hard. It's like peak me in 2016, 2017 or whatever, way different than now. I don't get anywhere near the amount of attention or anything like that. It's just the way things are. It changes. So you have to have more of a foundation and you have to kind of pivot to where it's almost like I almost am trying to somewhat pivot out of powerlifting to where it's more general because powerlifting, it's grown immensely, but it's still very niche. And there's guys way stronger than me now all over. So that point comes for everybody, I feel like. And I think that's the smart thing to do is to always keep that in mind. Like you're at the peak now, but it'll come, there will be a downward trend and it's difficult to deal with. And I feel and it's no disrespect. I've talked to him about it. I feel like we're seeing that to some extent with Kaler. Like Kaler Woolham was the guy. He was the man. He was the guy who deadlifted everything. And he's had all these injuries. And it's hard to go through that where you see all the numbers you used to hit and now you're not able to hit those and you're trying to build back up all the time. So I completely relate to that situation because it's mentally tough, but I think that's a good answer. Do you want to have like a family someday too? And do you want to settle down in Wisconsin, stay there, kind of plant your roots?
I mean, I don't really want kids. Will that opinion change? Probably not, but maybe. So I guess more so, I just want to be able to. I've really gone into I've wanted to like travel a little bit more and just when I'm old, like be able to look back and think that I made the best of it and have like memories, I guess. So I'm actually pretty excited because I'm kind of getting to the point where I get to travel as part of like lifting. So I'm going to China for a couple of weeks in April, and then I'm doing a strongman meet in the UK this summer.
Do you want to travel more? Are there specific places you want to see, or you want to travel more within the US or see the world?
See the world. Like I'd love to see like Greece and Iceland, maybe like New Zealand or Australia. Be like high on my list is like where I want to like vacation, and then if powerlifting takes me other places, that'd be great.
Okay. Are you going to stay in Wisconsin and plant your roots there, or you want to move elsewhere at some point?
That's my plan. I like it here, and I don't like the only other place I could see would maybe be like somewhere Colorado or Pacific Northwest.
Are you ever going to you think you'll ever get married?
Yeah, I'll probably get married. I would like to get married.
Okay. Just because I'm not sure. Some people don't want to. And like you said, you don't want to have kids. Like, I understand that. My sister's the same way. They didn't want to have kids. They're out in Colorado, Fort Collins. So that's kind of cool. What about for you, Dan? Like, what are your main things in life as far as your goals? Because you have 3 kids, you have a wife, you have the gym, you've done all this stuff that you've been insanely successful at. I've seen you through the early parts of the grind, and it's crazy how far you've come.
I definitely won't say I'm insanely successful yet, but I'm working on it. So like the gym has kind of the cool part about like starting from nothing and seeing everything grow is like it's now given me kind of opportunities to get into other areas. Like I now the building that the gym is in now I own. So I bought the building. I'm basically like I just as kind of like a side thing because I was kind of interested in it. I wanted to do it and I was already doing stuff related to it. I got a contractor license, so I'm basically remodeling the whole building pretty much myself, which is, building a lot of equity in the real estate investment. And I don't necessarily look at that as like a huge thing for me, but I look at it as like a huge thing for my kids. To be able to leave them, you know what I mean, to build kind of like some generational wealth on there. And I do want to get into kind of like some more commercial real estate. That's probably the direction that I'll go after this. We're actually in the very, very infancy of it, but like John and I, and then another guy that actually works for me now are kind of involved in another startup. That'll be some like gym access software type of stuff. That, it'll be some time before we actually launch anything, but it's something we're kind of starting to work on. I think that's something that could scale a lot more than like a location specific business. That's kind of one of those really tough things is that like a gym is like you really can only grow it to a certain degree. And I really don't, after owning a second location for a period of time and then having to close it kind of during COVID and everything, I don't really have any interest in owning another one. So like I don't really look at the gym as something that I want to scale. I look at it as, kind of like a passion project that I'm kind of starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel for. That I make a good living at, that I'm super, super happy at, that I get to do a ton of really cool shit through. So it's kind of the gym has definitely turned into kind of everything that I, thought that it could be, and it's already grown well past what I could have ever imagined it would be, which is pretty cool because I've had like a ton of support just from the community here, in general over the last decade. I guess my biggest goal at this point is just to have more freedom with my time, as we're remodeling the gym, like like I'm kind of acting as like the general contractor on it. So like to keep things moving, I'm still here pretty much all the time. I'd like to get to the point where as my kids start getting a little bit older, they get into t-ball, all that kind of stuff. Like I want to be able to, like my dad was always a dad that coached t-ball, coached soccer, did all that kind of stuff. Like I want to be able to be that dad, and yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of just more time with my wife and kids, more, just freedom to kind of get away from the business, not to be locked into that location, which is something that actually really excites me about kind of the, venture that I was talking about, John and our other friend Graham and I getting into, because it's something that's, an online based company that you can pretty much do from anywhere. So it's kind of, there's just like the gym is kind of scaled to the point where I have a lot of different options right now. But the options that I choose to pursue are all kind of going to be focused around that end goal of, more, not necessarily even really financial freedom, just because like I do well enough that I'm really comfortable now, but we're just freedom with my time.
What are your goals?
Still trying to figure it out. Like I often look back, like the nostalgia of it all, hanging out with you guys and all the people I've met, all the experiences, all the places traveled to. And I just think about how much things change. I heard a thing where every 7 years you kind of become a new person as far as personality, interest, that sort of thing. And now I've got like a gym of my own, very small compared to Dan's, 3,600 square feet. Really busy with my time as far as personal training, helping people at the gym, and then online coaching still, and this kind of thing. And I have, a wife now, a daughter. And I think for me, it's similar where it's like, I want to set my daughter up to be successful where she doesn't ever, need anything, like it's taken care of. And I think it's similar. Like my time's so locked up nowadays that having freedom to be able to do more with my time that I want to do, that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. And I'll be honest, I really haven't figured it out yet. I'm still looking. I'm always looking for, where I'm going to end up in life, that next phase. What's it going to be like? Because I'm now more out of the spotlight, to where for so many years my life was all it was powerlifting. All it was the attention. And now that's kind of like fading away more and more, to where it's like, what's next? You literally have it's somewhat of an identity crisis, where you're trying to establish who you are beyond your lifting and what this new phase is going to bring for you. Because now I'm 31 years old. I'll be 32 in August, and it's life's changed a lot more, and it's not so much of the accolades, like the cage and all that. All that stuff is gone, and I'm just at this whole new point where I'm like, what's the next step? What can I do to position myself to be successful? So I'm always trying to do that. That's what I'm always thinking about every day, whether it's in the fitness industry or not. And I think I just want to like raise my daughter the best I can, because we're only going to have this, one child. And I have stepkids, but this will be the only one we have. And I'm just going to try to do the best I can with her. And I want to spend time with her. I want to take her out west to Yellowstone, like drive out there. Because I remember one of the things I remember most vividly from being a kid was road trips with my parents, where we drove out to Yellowstone. We drove out to Colorado, that kind of time. Like those trips together. Hanging out with my dad in the basement, hanging out with you guys, that sort of thing. Like, it's the people you run into, the relationships. That's what you remember. I've met so many people, I'm sure you guys have as well, in the fitness industry, and looking back on it all blows my mind. And even, we've all met people who have passed away, and it's you realize how fleeting life is. And I see it every year. Like, there's guys who I talk to, who I know, and I'm like, they like Leo in longevity, he just passed away. And it's always people close to me. So it just puts life into perspective. I'm like, I need to dial this in. I need to figure it out. And I haven't figured it out yet. And I think that's okay. You can be 31 and not have it figured out. I feel like few people do. There's the perception, you need to have it figured out. You need to know what you're doing, have everything squared away, but it's often not the case. It's just that false perception we see through social media, through what we envision everyone else's life like. And everyone's got problems. No one's figured it out. That's the truth. So it's a hard question to answer. That's why even I said for you guys, I'm like, I know it's a hard question to answer, but best answer I could give is I'm figuring it out.
Yeah. Just enjoy it, I guess.
Yeah, you have to. Do you guys ever look back on the nostalgia of it all? Like, wow, look where we started. Look how far we've come. Whether it's you, John, being this young kid at the surf who was just coming up, like no one knew who you were. You were just lifting. You were, and Dan with the gym, like you had this small gym where you were stressed out of your mind, not even, you're breaking even, like not knowing what the next step was. And it's like, look at where you are now. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say like sometimes I do get like a little bit like imposter syndrome, where like I'll look back and be like, God, like how did my life end up like this? This is weird, because this is like something that, I mean, I know powerlifting's like a small sport, but there are like people who like this is their dream to be one of the best, and I'm very fortunate to get to say that I am in that category, I think.
I think I'm definitely the same way. I think I have, I definitely have imposter syndrome a lot. Like I still feel like I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing, but yeah, I'm just kind of like trying to not make. I mean, I guess like the whole reason that things have become successful here is just because I feel like at this point it's not necessarily as much that I know what I'm doing as it is that I've fucked up so many things that I just like don't fuck those things up again. So it's just like I just try not to make the same mistakes. You know what I mean? And I think that's basically my growth as a person and a business owner. It's just been like, you screw something up, just make sure you learn from it. I mean, there were definitely I literally closed my second location like a year and a half ago. You know what I mean? Like that was definitely, you know what I mean, from a business perspective, that was kind of there's a lot of different variables that made it so that was kind of doomed from the start. But it was a huge learning experience. But it was a brutal 5-year learning experience, to basically get through that lease and then close that gym. it definitely made me a better business owner. It probably made me a better person through it and stuff, but it's just like, just trying to like I feel like a lot of the people that are kind of like on top, I think you're definitely right, Pete, where it's like there's all these people that kind of like put it out there like they know exactly what they're doing, or they, you know what I mean, they try and act like they have these like perfect lives on social media, and it's like, I mean, I see people all the time that I like know, or that I have at least know enough about to know that like a ton of what those perfect people are putting out is just like total bullshit. You know what I mean? It's like there's definitely like a grind that everybody's going through. There's struggles that everyone's dealing with. It's like as the gym grows and it, you know what I mean, it becomes kind of more known and stuff, and it gets viewed as a more and more kind of successful type of gym. Like I feel like there aren't any less issues. It's just different issues. There's always kind of the next challenge. There's always the next hurdle to go over. So I mean, yeah, I think social media has kind of skewed everybody's view to all of that.
I think social media too has made it easy for people to point the finger where everyone's ready to jump on everybody else. But it's like y'all have, cobwebs, y'all have skeletons in your closets, but we're so apt to jump on everybody else. We're just the criticisms and the calling out of everyone when it's like no one is living this perfect life. And I see that all the time where it's people love to pile on everyone else anytime there's a perceived wrongdoing, when you just open up their closet and they got bodies everywhere. So that's another thing about social media where it's a facade. It's like, so I don't know. It's one of those things. Now, if you guys could go back, let's say, to when you were 20. So obviously, y'all are different ages, but what advice would you give yourself? What would you tell yourself if you were 20 again? If you could go back and just say, you know what, you should do this, listen to this, do it differently, whatever, advice, anything.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't think I would want to change much. Maybe just tell myself to invest in Bitcoin. But
Is it right?
no, like honestly, I'm like very, very content with where my life path has taken me. So I don't think I would want to change anything.
No, that's great. I think we would all do that. Would be like, hey, 2010, buy all the freaking Bitcoin in 2010.
Yeah.
Like, just go for it. Like, because back then everyone just thought Bitcoin was for buying steroids and illegal drugs. So no one really knew, but no one had the foresight, unfortunately.
Yeah.
What about you, Dan? What do you think?
To go back to when I was 20,
What would you tell yourself knowing what you know now?
don't do stupid shit so I don't tear a bicep. That'd probably be the one.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
It's fucking me up pretty bad, but
Well, we all we are who we are today because of the crazy stuff we did, or what we went through. So I'm not saying changing anything, but I totally get it. For me, I would have been like, hey, wait on PEDs and actually follow a training program. Like, you don't have to max out every single week. Because that's what Dan was talking about earlier. There was zero structure for so many years where we would just, oh, what do you think we should, what do you feel like hitting today? Let's max out that. Let's go freaking 4 hours of training and doing rows and 10 sets of deadlift. And it was just stupid. There was no progression. There was no thought. So, obviously that's probably the only question I have for myself. I'm like, how good could I have been if I actually had a proper training program and didn't do PEDs right away? But it is what it is. There's the knowledge now, and you can educate people on your poor life choices, like trenbolone for a year straight and stuff like that. So it's cool. It's all good.
Jesus. Do you know what the most you've ever done is? Like a biggest cycle?
The biggest cycle would have been the last one. The last one was the desperation heave at trying to pull 900 in a meet. And I think I got kind of screwed because they were using a Rogue deadlift bar, and I'm like, the Rogue deadlift, yeah, I'm like, the Rogue deadlift bar, Ohio deadlift bar, is less bend than the Texas. So I was like, gosh dang it.
Now, if only they used a Texas squat bar to deadlift with.
You're right. No, I'm like,
I bought two of the Ohio bars for the gym, and we like literally unwrapped them. People pulled on them for like a week, and like I don't think they've been touched since. I bought like three more Texas bars like the next day. I was like, "Fuck these,
Remember the Oki bars?
not good."
Oh,
Oh, that
Oki
one was
bars.
so bad. That Oki was literally like it was like stiffer than a power bar.
Yeah.
Except the knurling was just sharper. Like it was that bar was so fucking
The
bad.
Oki had a weird like pop off the floor. It wasn't smooth. It was like jerky kind of. But no, I saw the biggest cycle was going into that meet, and it was unfortunately Ohio deadlift bar. I'm like, if it was a Texas deadlift bar, maybe I would have had it. But what are you gonna do? Got it to my knees, 904. But that one was the biggest cycle for sure. I mean, this isn't like I didn't run the same amounts for the whole freaking 10, 15 weeks. I would ramp it up. So at the peak dosage, the last like 2 weeks, I went all in that same mindset from the old days. 1,500 test, 1,200 MPP, 40 Halo, which was a horrible idea because Halo was extremely liver toxic. Felt awful. But that was like my going for it. I was like, I'm just going to try to close it out and get the 9 over with. And I was going to do actually one more big cycle before I decided to come off. Like I had planned, I'm going to do a spring meet, go all in one more time. But it just was that time I decided to come off and have a kid. But there was one more lined up that I was going to do. But that was the biggest one. Trend wise, like it was the same thing. I'd do 300 milligrams of tren a week, but then the last 2 weeks, 10 days before the meet, I'd ramp it up and take it all and pin like 700 milligrams of tren Ace. So going into the super training meet, the backyard meet last week was like 700 tren Ace. So I remember in the warm-up room, you do like 2 reps with 135 or whatever on squat, and you couldn't breathe. Like you'd be out of breath from like a double with like 1 plate on each side in the warm-up because just the trend, that's how it was. But and that stuff, all that stuff destroyed my skin. It was awful. Like when we were at Raw Unity, it was horrendous. So just so many poor choices as far as how to do it. God only knows what my blood work looked like on a lot of those. It had to be awful, the blood pressure. Highest test level I ever recorded, because I rarely checked it on cycle, was 3,200 nanograms per deciliter for the test level. Now it's like 400, 350. So, 10 times. That's kind of nice. But
yeah.
I tried some crazy stuff. There were some drugs I never tried Master on, Primobolan. Loved Anavar at the end. But there's a lot of, I have a lot of experience with that sort of thing, obviously. So
How long has it been since you came off?
26 months, I believe now. 27 maybe. The only real bad thing is like there's definitely some residual effects from so long of cycling, because I never cycled off during. So my test levels have just not really bounced back very well. But the health parameters have, for the most part. I'd say I'm pretty healthy.
We should
I
start
get
giving
blood
you
work
like
checked all the time.
we should start giving you like the chips they give people for AA, like 2
Yeah,
years.
I feel like it's a major accomplishment. I'm trying to think of others who have done it besides, and I think like Cade Weber, that might be the only guy. I'm like, as
Yeah.
far as notable guys, Cade Weber
Yeah.
came up, I'm pretty sure. That's
Yeah.
about it, though.
Have you ever like considered, or do you like consider at all going on like TRT?
Oh yeah. There's a guy like a minute away who has a clinic, and he would prescribe it like that. Like, it's easy to get. I guess it's almost like I didn't do it the right way in the first place. So I almost have something to prove to myself what I can hit without help. Because like when I hopped on, I wasn't anywhere near my max potential. So I just kind of like don't know what I could have hit naturally. And so if that's one thing where I'm like, I want to kind of see how high I can go without anything before I were to take TRT. So if I were to do it, I want to be like, can I hit 800 without drugs? That's one of the major questions in my brain. Bench is,
You were pretty close, weren't you? The first time?
it's weird because it was like 700 on calibrated plates, but it was like 750 on bumper plates and stuff. So it's like, what was it, you know?
Oh yeah, shit. You used to
I
put
had
the
like
bumpers
three
on the
bumpers.
inside and like the hundreds on the outside. I remember
Yeah, I
that.
had the major whip where it was like the bar bend with 345-pound bumpers on the inside, so you get a huge whip effect. So
Mhm.
it's like I almost like to say I was pulling 700 because that's more accurate. That was calibrated. Um, but I do wonder, I'm like, and I know guys say lifetime natural is not the same thing as drug free if you've taken stuff. I get it, but I want to see if I can get back to 800 without. I don't know if it's possible. I don't think bench will get that crazy because it's like a grind to get to 400.
Mhm.
800 without any drugs, any tests would be really cool. Don't know if I'm going to get there, but I'm going to try. And that's kind of the main thing now. If I were to take tests, I just would kind of want to see if I could do that. So that's the major goal, I would say, over the next couple of
What
years.
does your training look like right now for like a pull day? Like for like your assistance work. I'm just curious because I remember what you used to do when we started training together, and it was like the most nuts shit I have ever seen in my fucking life. Like where you were doing like the glued hams with like a strong band like behind your head. I like try and do it, and I'd get like catapulted into the floor. I was like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, I mean now it's one deadlift day per week, okay? Because recovery is a much different ball game. One deadlift day per week. Usually, like one week will be kind of the straight weight, heavier week of reps. So I'll do a few sets of reps, low reps, heavier. And I've been doing this thing with like really quiet negatives so I can really engage my low back on the eccentric. And then the other week will be like a variation week of like paused banded or deficit. So it's an alternating between those 2 weeks. And I'll do like a 12-week cycle before I max out. Accessories are always 45-degree back extensions. Whether one week it'll be 10 reps, the other week it'll be 5. And that's my key assistance movement. And then I'll do like Nordic hamstring curls because I don't have a GHR or a GHD. And then I'll do lat pull downs. So that's kind of what it looks like for the deadlift. Squatting, I've kind of gotten back into it a little bit. Very light right now. Pause squats, high bar, twice a week, 2 to 3 times a week. Very, very light, just to kind of hit the legs and help my deadlift out. And then benches 3 times a week. A lot of volume, no AMRAPs, just a lot of volume and frequency, high frequency. That seems to be the key. So that's what training looks like now. Not and for the other lifts, not really much assistance work at all because I don't have time for it. I can't be in the gym for 4 hours like I used to be. Too many responsibilities now. And I still think specificity is key. I think that's king. If you want to get better at these lifts, specificity, train the power lifts, and then find the couple accessories that really help them. But you don't have to go crazy with them. So that's my opinion.
How do you load the 45 degrees? Do you bands or do you hold on to plates or how do you? I remember for a while you were doing like really heavy barbell stuff. You were just loading like a shitload of 25s on.
Yeah, so now I do the barbell, but I do use like regular size plates, so I'm not using the lower plates, but I load it as heavy as possible, really, for the
So
reps.
it's kind of like a partial range 45 degree then almost.
Yeah, I mean the videos,
Nice plate.
I get really hyperextend at the top, so I'm really coming up to where I'm getting full
I got you.
hyperextension. But it's mainly for low back and hamstrings, and that one's been huge for me. Like, I don't know if you tried those out, John, because I feel like that would change the freaking game with taking your deadlift to that next level.
Yeah, then your deadlift won't suck.
I haven't in a while. I used to do them every once in a while, but like the last couple like gyms I've been at haven't had a good one to do those on. So maybe I'll give
And do
them a
you have a
shot
good
again.
one?
Uh we just got a brand new one, but it's a little bit tall.
That's good. Is the
Fine.
angle? I'd rather have the angle higher for more range of motion than lower. That's the key.
I don't know if the one that I'm planning on getting a different one. I just bought a brand new one, but I'm actually planning on getting a different one where the
Okay.
angle will be more adjustable. So maybe once we get that, I actually have another one
I
that
feel like we could find someone to make like a custom one. That'd be
Yeah, I'm trying to
yeah,
think there's
I actually have
the
another one
brand.
coming with all that random stuff that I'm getting tomorrow. So if that one's better, I might just hold on to it for a little side training room because I like hitting those.
Well, I would throw those in just once a week. Try like with the barbell so you can load them up. So I'm not, in the high to 300 range even for reps. And with a pause at the top, I think those would really, really help your deadlift. Like as far as the hamstring, glute, and low back strength, I think they're vastly superior to GHR. But I think people load them way too light. Like they're doing, they're holding plates where you can't hold enough plates, or they're doing 225 or so. I'm talking loaded up, like 300, 350 for reps, which you're probably capable of, honestly, 405 for reps. That's what I'm talking about. So that will really, right after deadlifts is a good place to put that in. That'll take things up a notch if you want to try it at some point.
Yeah, we'll give those a shot.
But you got to go heavy. It's just people don't go heavy enough. They don't get the full extension. They don't pause them, all these sorts of things. So I
don't know if a ton of people have access to one that really works super well with a barbell dropped in. Like I think a lot of GHRs, the way they're designed, either they don't have enough forward support to where if you load them really heavy, they'll like tip forward, or they're set up to where a lot of them have the handles coming out the front that'll completely block the bar from coming up. It kind of depends on like, I mean, the one that we have, we've done it on. I know I was training with a couple guys when Carson and Antonio were in their last meet prep. They had loaded barbell 45 degrees, and like it worked for them and they loved it, but like for whatever reason it tweaked my knees personally. So it's just, I think that's another issue that some people run into depending on just kind of your body type. It's like for whatever reason it just made my knees feel like they were gonna fucking blow when I did them, but they both loved them. They're just, I mean, they're a little bit different build compared to me. So it's
one thing, put the pad higher on the hips. If the pad is too low, you'll feel it in the knees way too much. It'll feel like it's going to like, buckle your knees off. So put the pad higher and it'll fix that issue.
I think the issue with this one is that the pads are really long. So it's like the pad extends all the way from like your hip joint all the way down, like past your knee. So it's like your entire, you know what I mean? Like there's almost too much contact. Like if the pad ended above the knee and then you could like tuck it into your hip, it's like you'd have a little bit more like freedom of movement for the knee joint. But it's like because you're like your patella is like pushing into the pad. I think that's what it was for me. But I don't know. But
we'll give them a try at some point. I swear you will not regret it. Like I'm not big into assistance movements, but that's one that's been.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being like beneficial for me.
And I swear it sounds crazy, but you could probably do 405 for sets of 5 or something along those lines, given where your deadlift is at. So if you both try it out, like, I don't know, Dan, what's your deadlift at nowadays? Is it?
It's anywhere from
deadlift is struggling right now.
It's anywhere from like 550 to 650.
That's a good range there.
Absolutely fucked my back that day.
Oh man.
I don't know until we put 600 on. I either like everything's pretty much effortless until 600, but like once 600 goes on, it either is like decent or it literally just like I don't know what it is. I've like 2 out of the last 3 deadlift days I've like
the last like 4 weeks you've been like on like doing this.
Yeah, I've been like on my hands and knees fixing like the foundation of the building in this back room working on. So I was underneath this floor that's like 4 feet off the ground. So I was like literally like crawling. Yeah, so my back is just like an absolute disaster. But like right before those weeks, I hit 650 for a couple singles.
All right. What about bench? You close to 405 right now?
For bench? Hit 4. Did you hit 463? No, you barely.
No, I didn't hit that. I hit 450.
You hit 451.
Wow.
Or 457.
My bench's okay. It's just my lower back is just really fucked up.
Okay, I mean that's respectable. If you're benching 450, that's awesome. Now we'll finish up here. Coming up, a couple of quick questions. Like, okay, guys, what's your favorite foods? We got to go over this kind of stuff.
Ooh.
Because if I had to pick one, like I'll get the ball rolling to try to help. I've been big into. I can't really pick one. I gotta chips and queso. I've been big into lately. I've been into cherry pie. I do like the Motor City Pizza Company 5 cheese bread pizza you can get at Walmart. That one's fantastic.
I'll have to try that one.
That was freaking good, man.
Do they? I think they have that one at Costco. Actually,
Dude, it is the bomb. It
I
says
usually get
5 cheese bread. Fire.
You have a Costco membership?
I did, but dude, the Motor City
Dude, for whatever
pizza.
reason, the cauliflower crust supreme Costco brand pizza is fucking amazing.
Really?
I'm surprised
Sorry,
you know
it
that.
says cauliflower crust. It's not good for you. It's like even worse because I add a fuckload of sugar to it to like make it, but it's so good. It's like my favorite frozen pizza now.
I'll try it. I'm down. What do you guys think though? What's your favorite food right now?
Oh, I like sushi or steak.
So healthy.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go. I think
What do
I
you go
won't
with?
say either of those are healthy. If I get fucking sushi, I'm like binge eating
Dan,
This guy ate 7 rolls last time we went.
6.
Okay, yeah, you ordered 7 though.
I
Did I
remember,
order 7?
You
yo,
ordered
I saved
7.
a little bit because I wanted a little snack.
Yeah.
I remember Dan's theories in the old days before bench night. It'd be like bench day. He's like, we got to go eat Chinese buffet, and we go to the MSG loading. There was the MSG loading principle before heavy bench days to get the maximum bloat and water retention. So it was always Chinese General Tso's chicken.
We still do
Fucking
that.
work though.
You still
Yeah.
do that? That's awesome.
Like Panda Express is my go-to like lunch meal for post weigh-in. And then I'll do sushi at night.
Okay, I like
Have you
it.
located a Panda Express in Miami?
I have to imagine there's a Panda Express in Miami.
But
I don't
is there
know.
a Cracker Barrel?
Oh, that's a good point.
There's one in Madison.
There is.
Yeah, right next to my
Gee,
place.
here's a serious question before we lose you or you fucking sign out. When are you coming to Wisconsin?
Actually, I have to. I'll come up sometime, probably April, because my parents are moving down here in May. So my parents are actually they're
Oh,
moving.
really?
Yeah, they're selling the house. They're moving. They're building a house right now, about 20 minutes away.
Is that foundation safe?
Yeah, right. I know. I don't know. It's had to be repaired because I cracked the heck out of it throwing the bar into the ground. So yeah, it's the
Dude, you didn't crack it. You literally shattered. Like that foundation is so fucked up.
who would have
Feel
thought
bad.
throwing the bar into the floor every rep was a bad idea. I don't know.
With like a
Well, you
quarter
only
inch.
had one horse mat down, and you were literally accelerating the bar. It was like you'd have like 135, and you'd be like throwing your entire body weight into it, pressing it into the floor. Like Pete, like you know this foundation is gonna take this. You're like, yeah, bro, it's fine. Then all of a sudden you pulled like 7 something, and then like literally one side of the bar sitting like 6 inches lower than the other. I'm like, you fucked up your floor, dude.
Oh my gosh, bro.
It was just rubble. It was so bad.
Yeah, we want to get up there though before the house sells, right? Or before, before they move. So maybe spring, try to get a session in with my weak lifts now. But I'll try to, we got to do like an Ohio power bar pull because that's what I train on now. I train on the Ohio power bar. So
we can do an axle bar because I have to do that for my strongman competition.
okay, I'm down. We could max out or something stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, I don't know. I'll be up there at some point one more time, I
We
think.
should
But
plan a Gym Olympics event around Pete being there.
you guys you got to stock up on the Halo testing right now, pass it around. No, I wouldn't take anything now either, but
No.
yeah. Okay, have you guys been
brainstorm.
following the Wisconsin football team?
Yeah, I'm really excited for the new coach. They're getting some good recruits finally.
Wisconsin finally got serious about like trying to be competitive. So it's gonna be interesting. I'm like, wow, we've never been like this. They really like started putting money into the program. So
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic right now.
I'm surprised. How have you not gotten like Brady Collins to allow you to get a lift in with the team yet? The strength coach. You gotta hit him up.
I don't know him. Yeah,
I'm sure he'd be fine with it. Be like, yeah.
I tried to slide in Braylon Allen's DMs and be like, let's work out together. And
Nothing.
nothing.
He blew you off.
Yeah, he's probably like he's probably like, who's this fucking jabroni?
Dude, Braylon, you're a bigger deal than Braylon Allen. I'm sorry, but he's good. I mean, no disrespect. Like, I'm a fan, but come on now. Like, that's crazy. All right. Yeah, I mean, anything else you guys want to cover? I'm trying to think of
You're saving the knickknacks from your parents' basement, right?
the knickknacks. What,
There were
pass
like
around
14
creatine?
corncob pipes, and there was like a big mouth.
I think that's what you should do for decorating.
There were like
the
9 different
background.
saws.
Yeah, my
That's-
dad had.
That's
all
how you
the
should
saws.
that's how you should decorate your background right here.
I could have the basement theme with like random pictures on the wall, and
You definitely need a
Dude, I
washer
swear you
dryer
took that
back
shit from your
there.
parents' house.
I've thought about moving the washer dryer pictures behind me because they're over here in the gym.
Sure,
I'm
you get like fat heads of them.
Yeah, I think you should
We
do
should.
that.
Okay, yeah, we could totally
Paint
do
the
it.
wall green and just podcast from your parents' basement.
Yeah, I'll be like, guys, we'll sell you the house, but I need to do my podcast down here for nostalgia's sake. That'd be pretty cool.
Are your parents going to have a basement at their new house?
No, just a garage.
Damn it.
Disappointed. Tennessee doesn't have basements. It's not a thing here. We don't have tornadoes. If you we in Nashville they do, because Nashville over there it's flat, but we're between like 2 mountain ranges, the Smokies and the Cumberland Gap Mountains. So we don't have any tornadoes. So no one has basements. It's not really a thing. Like we've had like 1 inch of snow this
That's
year.
the main reason for basements is tornadoes.
I think so. For real.
Kelly's the same way. It's
I thought that was sea level though.
well, it's also because of like the frost line, where like in Wisconsin, you already have to go down 4 feet. So it's like, well, we might as well go another 4 feet and make this like a livable space.
Got it.
What about
Sense.
okay? What's y'all's? Because we're doing fun questions now. What is your favorite place to travel to? Everybody, like, where would you want to go, or where would you go? Is your favorite place?
That I've already gone to that I enjoy, or
Yeah, it could be any, or it could be the place you really want to go to, or a place you've been that's your favorite place to go to,
Ooh.
or both.
I would say like Greece would be where I would want to go to, or like Rome. I like the architecture.
Favorite place you've been?
Favorite place I've been. Ooh, I don't know. I feel like I haven't gone any like really cool places.
Mount Horeb.
Yeah, Mount Horeb School, troll capital of the world. Goddamn right.
You guys can get a good beer up there too, New Glarus. But all right,
Yeah, you're gonna stock up when you come up.
I like that strawberry rhubarb New Glarus one.
I've never had that.
It's seasonal. It's like a month, but no.
I
What were you
actually
gonna
have,
say?
well, I haven't drank actually since I moved back. I don't think I should do that.
I'll fix that after your meet.
Yeah, after the meet, we'll get some brewskis.
Margaritas.
I'm not a marg guy.
I completely hijacked this question, by the way. What about you, Dan? What were you gonna say?
Fuck, what's the question?
Favorite
About
place
drinks?
to visit. No, favorite place
Oh,
to.
stop. Fuck, dude, I don't know. Anywhere warm during winter? I'm gonna be honest. You guys both say you like miss snow. Like fuck snow, dude. Snow is fucking. But I will say one thing. I didn't hate snow to the degree that I do until I had like a gym, and now I have a parking lot that's like always like iced, and that no matter how much salt I put out, I'm like paranoid that somebody's gonna slip and hurt themselves.
And Sue,
So
yeah.
it's just
I was gonna say like I guess I live in an apartment, so I don't have to clear snow.
Okay.
Yeah, fuck clearing snow, dude. Clear
Dude.
my driveway, and then I come here, and then I clear snow here. But anyways, anywhere warm. So like Miami sounds fucking sick. I've been to Miami before I was school.
Miami in February, because that's what in Raw Unity back in the day, there was snow all over. We flew into West Palm Beach. I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Port St. Lucie. God damn.
I will say, I guess
Remember that, yeah.
the place I'm definitely looking forward to going, at least on like a vacation, is like when my kids are all old enough that we can either take them to like Disneyland or Disney World.
Okay.
Disney World. I went to
That'll
Disneyland.
be
It
pretty
was
cool, but that's more
Suck.
just like a
yeah.
Nostalgic. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like I get to live through like a lot of nostalgic shit from like when I was a kid. Like,
Also gotta give a shout out to Wisconsin Dells. Always a fun trip up there.
just not in the winter. It's just depressing.
There's all the indoor water parks.
Beautiful
me-
Leesburg, Wisconsin.
For me, it's got to be Laramie, Wyoming. Freaking love it out there. Love
Really?
it. You fly into Denver, you drive 2 hours north because we go out there see my sister, an hour from Denver, Fort Collins, drive another hour Laramie. It's like small.
It's only an hour from Denver.
It's 2 hours from Denver, hour from Fort
Oh.
Collins. But it's small. It's where the University of Wyoming is. It's like 30,000 people. No traffic. Beautiful scenery. There's Medicine Bow mountain range out there. You can have the whole place to yourself. These beautiful mountains. I loved it. But Maui too, obviously. Maui's awesome. Been there a couple times, and that's always a nice place to
We
go.
want to go there. That'd be an expensive vacation with 3 kids. So I don't think we're
Oh,
going.
with 3 kids, yeah. You can do it cheap. You can literally get like a condo for 130 a night, where it's affordable for.
Right.
Yeah, if you do it right, you don't have to go
there
crazy.
for a honeymoon. Like we couldn't find anything for under like 300 a night, so we just went to Italy.
We always
that
do
was
it.
really cool too. That was awesome. But
Yeah. No, we always find very affordable rates. We don't go anywhere super expensive, and you can do the trip relatively affordable, so that's cool. But yeah, that'd be about it for me. Yeah, I mean, I think I'll wrap it up there, though. It looks like it's been about an hour and a half. I don't want to make everyone, go too long because we'll do it again at some point.
For sure.
But yeah, thanks for coming on, guys. I'll stop the recording.